My name is Chris Dabbs. I'm Chief Executive of a social enterprise based in Salford in Greater Manchester called Unlimited Potential. What I'm going to try and do in about 20 minutes is to try and convince you, if you need convincing, that innovation is a good thing and hopefully how to do a bit of it. I'm going to try and focus on three particular aspects. So a little bit about what my organisation does, our experience of how to engage commissioners, particularly around taking risks and doing innovation, and thinking more broadly about how your organisation might be able to make a case for innovative approaches to commissioners. So briefly, a little bit about Unlimited Potential. So we're a social enterprise based in Salford. Legally, we're a community benefit society, and our little strapline about what we do social innovation for happiness. So our purpose in life is to help people have happier lives. And we were one of the 5 local partner sites in the Realising the Value programme last year, and I'm going to try to draw on a few aspects of that programme. First off though, just to show you that there is nothing new about social innovation. All of the things on that screen, which I'm not going to go through, were all social innovations in their time. So there is absolutely nothing new in a sense about anything I'm about to tell you. People were doing this stuff 2, 3, 400 years ago, 2,000 years ago. And all we're trying to do is to bring a 21st century version of it here to make sure it fits with the type of thing that people like Derek Wallace were talking about getting on for 15 years ago now. In essence, our approach to innovation has largely been adopted from the world of science and technology, which is where most people think innovation is done. But for us, innovation is just a process. So this is very, very similar to the steps that you might find in the NHS innovation strategy called Innovation, Health and Wealth. Essentially, we take a problem from a big agency, we generate ideas, we try and act like children at that point. Do proof of concept work to test ideas out, make sure that we learn particularly from where things don't work. So this is a world in which failure actually is quite helpful and useful. Where those things work, develop the idea into something more like a service or a product, and then hopefully if that works, take it to mainstream delivery. A few brief examples of what that means. We've either done or are currently testing work around seeing if we can improve children's health through working with fathers. We've worked with the Design Council to use design approaches and prototyping to test ways to help people reduce problem drinking. We're working with a time banking approach to see if that can reduce demand, particularly on primary care, but also on social care and possibly even hospitals, by helping people to create stronger links and friendships, particularly in low-income communities. We've been trialling with a bunch of GP practices, ways of getting them and local people within their communities to work together to identify common problems and to create common solutions to that. Unsurprisingly, usually about GPs and others feeling that they're overwhelmed with demand and local people saying we can't get in. And trying to find solutions that are being generated together, where we've used things, for example, with children and families, things that we've called asthma parties, and how we can get rid of the stigma for very young children about using inhalers and so on. We're working with a local school in the inner city of Salford with about 30 young people, trying to help them to think about how they can open up their own life opportunities by using more entrepreneurial techniques. Particularly how we can link them to local businesses and local enterprises and so on, so they can see a way out which isn't just either going to university or hoping to play for Manchester United. And we're also working with people with dementia on the basis that people with dementia have a lot to offer. So we're looking for their strengths and skills and seeing how we can develop solutions that improve their lives and the lives of their carers based on what they can do rather than what they can't. We've turned some of those things now into mainstream services. So things like wellbeing coaches, a service that's now called Salford. Getting on 10 years ago, we created a very different type of health trainers scheme, which, as far as we know, is unlike other health trainer services elsewhere in the country. We ran a healthy communities scheme where we used basically plastic yellow ducks to help people get diagnosed with cancer and heart disease much earlier, through the fact that local people told us, if you want us to engage in health, please make it fun. Stop telling us about how we're going to die young. So using fairground techniques and so on. We've used an approach called It's a Goal, using football language, football culture, football techniques to engage long-term unemployed men with long-term health conditions. And something called smoke-free spaces to engage people largely through what and who they love in order to get them to think about why reducing or quitting smoking might be a good idea, where traditional stop smoking services weren't being effective. That's in a very rushed sense our experience. So what's the learning from that, particularly about working with commissioners and how to convince them to take risks? Just briefly, some simple definitions of what I'm trying to describe. So as I touched on earlier, often when people hear the word innovation, they immediately assume we mean technology, science, gadgets, pharmaceuticals and so on. For me, innovation is just a process, it's just a way of thinking. Social innovation is essentially applying that innovation process in a way that meets social challenges, and usually using social assets and social resources. There is something slightly different called societal innovation, which is applying this stuff across a whole society. Probably the one key factor which distinguishes social innovation from other types of innovation is that it should leave behind a stronger capacity for people to act. So within my organisation, for example, when we get new staff starting with us, there's one thing I always end up saying to them, which is you will know you're doing your job properly when the people you're working with politely tell you to get lost. But they don't need the service anymore. They don't need our support anymore. If they then realise they already have much of the capacity that they needed to achieve their own solutions and to take control of their lives. And often what the health and social care sector has a capacity to do, whether it's public, private or voluntary sector, is to hold on to people. If we're really going to do what Derek Wallace was talking about, we need to help people leave the system where that's possible, to take control of their lives. So how do we get commissioners interested in this stuff? So why would they take risks about doing innovation? And there are essentially a couple of reasons why people opt for innovation when they do. It's usually about something changing, whether that's around a market, around demographics, around technology, economy and so on, all of which apply within the world of health and social care and well-being. And it's usually about the point where those people are getting to the point of desperation. So when I'm working with large organisations, whether it be the health service or prison or housing trust, I'm usually looking for the whites of people's eyes, and where you can start to see the desperation. We've got this issue and we have no more solutions. Nothing is working. And that's usually the point when I know we can start to do what I would consider real innovation. And to give you one example, the work with fathers that we now call Daddy Does It. In Salford, roughly about a third of the children and young people going through our schools are effectively destined to fail in life. 1 in 3 will not achieve what they should. And we were looking at this quite a number of years ago and being aware that the cuts were coming. So health as things, short start centres, primary schools, etc. were all going to be reduced in some form or other. And we still had 1 in 3 children failing despite all of those things. So we looked around and asked local people, parents and children, about how they saw things, particularly to do with children's health and well-being. And the thing which became obvious to us was that the asset that on the whole children's services do not engage is fathers. They are unrecognised. We've checked since all the specifications within Salford around children's health, well-being, social care, there is not a single mention of fathers. And yet we know the impact that fathers can have either negatively or positively. So we've worked with dads, like some of those that are in the picture there. We found there's essentially virtually no evidence at all about the impact of good fathering on the health and well-being of children. Lots and lots of stuff about bad dads, absent dads and so on, but very little about good dads. We've worked with groups of men now who are experiencing severe multiple disadvantage. We see them as an asset, not a problem. We've used an approach called positive deviance, and particularly about how they can have fun with their children, because in many cases either they had lost contact with their children, or in many cases they hadn't had a role model themselves when they were growing up, so they didn't know how to play. And what we've tried to do is to help men learn from other men about how to be a good dad. So we have no training courses, we have nobody trying to teach people what to do, it's just dads learning from each other and having fun at the same time. Importantly, in terms of working with commissioners, it's about obviously showing the impact. So we've done a lot of evaluation, we've had social return on investments done, we can produce bar charts for the people in the commissioners who love a bar chart, alongside the stories, the videos and so on. And in terms of convincing people of this type of case, what we found is having a range of evidence is particularly important. Just telling stories and having lots of nice videos will not cut it. It's a way of drawing people in. But in terms of convincing people in bodies like CCGs and local authorities and so on, the people I tend to aim at are thinking about the finance people, the people who do procurement, the people who do contracting, who are probably not our natural allies, and they're the people I'm focusing on. How do I create a business case that convinces them to follow me out of the room, having done a presentation on this stuff, to say, how can you do this more? And the aim is to get them to the point of not asking the question, why would my CCG do this, for example, but is getting them to the point where they ask, why wouldn't my CCG do this? Because this becomes so obvious. And the risk of doing this is much less than the risk of what we're currently doing, which I'll come back to towards the end about how to use some of the behavioural psychology to shift behaviours within commissioners and decision makers. So, in terms of making the case, how can your organisation make the case for this type of innovation and innovative approaches? If you're doing this, I think there are three basic barriers to engaging in social innovation. First of all, that common assumption that innovation means science and technology. So we have to get over that barrier of thinking everything, the answer to everything is a gizmo that works on the internet. Because on its own that is not going to be enough. We have to apply innovation techniques to other approaches that isn't necessarily tech. At the moment for social innovation there's a lack of clear policy, structures, routes and finance. So unlike if I was trying to develop a new drug in a pharmaceutical company, where those things on the whole already exist, for social innovation we're still in the very early days of developing these things. Probably by about 2020, 2021 is when they'll start to be at least a vestige of policy and finance routes. And for those of you who are interested in this stuff, in the UK there's now something called Social Innovation Exchange, which is run through Nesta, and across Europe an interesting network called Social Innovation Europe, which is swapping experiences everywhere from Albania to Scotland about people doing social innovation and how we can learn from it. So it's beginning to develop, but it's still very early days. And thirdly, we still have a significant lack of decent research and knowledge about how social innovation works. So it's important that we engage with bodies like think tanks, like universities, as my organisation is trying to do, to build up that evidence base, but also to give this sort of stuff credibility. The risk otherwise is it gets dismissed as fluffy community stuff that is not serious. And we have to have a business case that is at least as good as what the clinical innovators, the pharmaceutical innovators and others are able to do. So a few very basic points from our experience about what may or may not work. The starting point is if whoever's got the cash, it's what they think they're buying that's important, not what we think we're selling. And I had an experience about 10 years ago when we were literally just a community group of about 6 people. And there was a senior person in commissioning who I wandered in and was chatting away. And the only offer he made to us was, he said, we had this £80,000 third sector budget available for the whole of our city, and that was the budget. And I said, I'm not interested in that, I'm interested in your 400 million quid, and I want to shut some hospital wards down. And he said, okay, if you're really serious, you need to be really clear what our organisation really wants. And it's only 3 things. We want to balance the books, we want to reduce admissions, we want to reduce prescribing. If you can show us that what you're doing achieves those things, we might be interested. If you come to tell us that you're going to improve health, we won't be interested, because that's not what we want to buy. If you're going to tell us that the communities will be better, that there'll be more employment, we will not be interested, because that is not what our NHS commissioning agency wants to buy. So be really, really clear what it is your customer wants to buy from you, not what you want to sell to them. And I think often, because of the degree of passion and energy that often is in the voluntary community social enterprise sector, often we have a tendency to talk about what we're interested in and what we're passionate about. They're not interested in what we're interested in. They're interested in what they want to buy. They have the cash, they have the power, and I need, for my organisation, to get it in my direction, which means that we need to show, first of all, how what we're going to do is going to help them. How will it reduce expenditure? How will it reduce hospital admissions? How will it reduce prescribing? And possibly now for CCGs, how will it reduce pressure on GP practices? In terms then of spreading change, and this is taken from one of the documents in the Realising the Value programme. We did a lot of work with the Behavioural Insights team. And there are 2 documents that they essentially produced. One of which is about supporting self-management, which is essentially about applying behavioural insights techniques to adjusting the behaviour of local people, citizens, communities and so on. The bit I'm going to focus on is the other document, which is work that, as far as I know, they hadn't really thought about before, which is how can you apply behavioural psychology and behavioural economics to the behaviour of commissioners and decision makers, because they are, after all, only human beings. And what we did with the Behavioural Insights team was to use what they call the EAST framework, and this is based on a lot of research around behavioural psychology and economics. And in essence, it boils down to 4 things. How do we make this stuff easy? So how do we make innovation appear easy? So we have to make the engagement very, very simple. For people, we have to go to where they are. And in terms of innovation, we always start really, really small. So with some of the work we've done, the starting point, the first test we did was with 1 local person. There is virtually no risk in doing that, because the thing that commissioners understandably will often be at least concerned about, if not scared rigid about, is about what if the risk happens. And it is inherent in doing innovation that there are risks, and sometimes things do go wrong. So part of the approach we take is to start incredibly small. 1 person, 1 family, 1 street, test it out, and then do it with a 2nd person, 2nd street, and so on. We have to make this stuff attractive. So how do we highlight the benefits to CCGs, councils, trusts, housing organisations and so on, and make sure we articulate it in their terms, given that they have the cash. So, for example, in terms of our work with GPs, the thing I find works most frequently with GPs is essentially to say, this will take your heart-sick patients away from you. It's about improving the quality of life of the doctor, of the nurse. It's not about talking about the benefits to the community, because we need to help them see the benefits first, and then enable them to join with us, and then see the benefits to local people. We have to reframe the risk. So often the risks are presented in the wrong way. So often what we do is flip an idea around. So a bit like the work we've done with fathers, to say, actually, maybe the problem is that you're focusing too much on mothers, there's too much pressure put on women around children's health and well-being, and we're letting men off the hook. because dads are being asked to do nothing. So we reframed the risk, and we took it from the point of view of children, because children said to us, Mum and Dad are equally important. So we start to reframe what the problem is, turn it on its head, find a different way of presenting it. So as it starts to look a bit more dealable with in terms of the problem. Stories also are particularly important. So sharing the narratives, particularly if we get real local people to come and talk about their own experiences. So with those fathers, we've had real fathers who've been long-term unemployed, who've come forward and sat in front of a bunch of GPs and nurses and told their story. It is the most powerful thing we can possibly do to engage those clinicians and professionals. Thirdly, we have to make the process social. So incentivising whole groups, whole systems, and what we mean by teams, and indeed what we mean by systems. So in Salford, for example, we've started to redefine what we mean by the system. So when I go to our local health and wellbeing board, for example, generally what they mean by the system is what paid staff do. We're trying to redefine that system to mean it's what local people do, it's what communities do, it's what carers do. And we've now started to get a different definition even of things like workforce. So we've now got acknowledgement that the majority of the workforce are not employees. We've got acknowledgement that carers are the main part of the workforce, family unpaid carers. That starts to change the narrative, it starts to change the perception of who the team is. It also helps people who are facing difficult decisions in statutory agencies to think, actually, there might be other resources out there that we didn't realise existed. And maybe those cuts and austerity that we're being faced with might be dealable with if we look at things in a different way. So finally, the T of East, we have to do things in a timely way. So how do we make sure that there's an incentive to demonstrate that change is possible now, and that people are going to get something out of this soon? So in the context of Greater Manchester, with devolution, they've got to avoid spending £2 billion extra by 2021, but they actually need those things to start happening in the next 2 years. So we have to show what we're doing is going to help start making those savings within the next 12 months, even though we're doing innovation. We have to make the tools available in a timely way, so things become more easily available and transferable and go across systems much more quickly. And probably most importantly of the lot is about that change of mindset, about seeing the world in a completely different way, and being able then to engage in the type of conversation and language that we're trying to engage in if we're trying to push an innovation model. That's the thing. This is the point we want people to get to. The difficulty in human psychology, and if you look at the work of people like Daniel Kahneman in behavioural economics, essentially human beings behave largely completely illogically, especially around anything to do with money. We think we operate really logically, we don't. In order to get people to shift money, you need to show, first of all, the extreme risk of anything that they're currently doing, even though it looks really safe. And we have to show that the risk, the perceived risk of what we're about to do that's innovative is actually less than what they thought it would be. If we only show a slightly marginal difference between those two things, even if our risk is lower and our offer is better, they will not shift. We have to show a difference, a perceived difference that's much, much bigger than that, and then people will start to tip. So we have to take it through that approach. It is absolutely possible to do. We've now been doing this at Salford through our organisation for about 12 years. People keep coming back and asking us to do other stuff, so I'm assuming something we're doing is right. So it is possible to get people to engage in innovation. I hope that we can make the case for social innovation along technological lines and get commissioners to this point. Thank you very much.